Welcome back to Tech Radar. I'm Matt Phillips, joined today by our home cinema editor, Henry St. Ledger. Henry, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm here to talk about TVs, which is exactly what gets me excited.
We are indeed here to run through the top 5 TVs that we would recommend right now. A couple of things before we jump into it very quickly, though. If you're watching on YouTube, congratulations. You're getting the best experience possible for this Tech Radar video. If you head to the first link in the description, it will send you to Henry's full buying guide. I think there are like 15 TVs on the full buying guide.
10 or so.
10 or so. And that is where you are going to get the most up-to-date information. So if you're coming to this video a little bit late, some new TVs might be out, might be worth checking out that link. In that YouTube description, you will also find links to all of the TVs we are about to talk about today. Tech Radar is supported by you, our audience, and so they are affiliate commission links. So we may earn some affiliate commission if you do buy those TVs through those links. Worth mentioning, worth keeping an eye on. But right now, Henry, with the rigmarole out of the way, let's jump in. Let's talk about some TVs coming in at the number 5 spot, the Sony Bravia X900H Series. Tell me a little bit about it. Why does this deserve to be in the top 5?
The X900H or the XH90, if you're watching this in the UK and Europe, is a great value television in my mind. It comes in at under the $1,000 or pound mark, which is always good when you're buying a new television. But despite initially launching with only HDMI 2 ports, Sony did continue to support this set by actually updating all of its ports to HDMI 2.1, which is great news if you're looking for a set to do next-gen gaming for PS5 and Xbox Series X, really get the maximum refresh rate out of those consoles at a price that isn't going to break the bank.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sony, one of those brands who are very well established in the TV space. You know you're going to get quality there. And like you say, is probably one of the cheaper TVs on our list. So if you're looking for something under that £1,000, $1,000 price point, this is probably the one to keep an eye on. But without further ado, let's move on to the number 4 spot and Samsung's Q80T QLED TV. Oh, I'm going to be a nightmare today.
It's a lot of Qs.
It's going to be hard work today. It's going to be hard work today. But Samsung, obviously, another kind of relatively speaking, more newer brand coming into the TV space, but absolutely killing it of late. And again, this TV coming in a little bit more expensive than the Sony, but why does it deserve to be on that spot higher, do you think?
A few things. I would say it's despite saying, hey, get the Sony TV if you want to be gaming on your next-gen consoles, the Samsung Q80 QLED is top of our best gaming TV guides,
right?
For a reason. It does cost a little bit more. You are spending a few more hundred, but you've got a really bright display. Samsung really knows how to make a good 4K TV. It's really excellent at upscaling. I think Samsung might really be top for that. So if you're watching old HD movies or box sets or whatever, it's going to be a great choice. You don't get Dolby Vision on Samsung TVs, but Samsung's QLED sets are pretty good for contrast, and you get a decent backlight in the Q80T that you don't get in the couple of models beneath it. So it's quite a good mid-range Samsung TV from last year.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Maybe it's worth us doing a video a little bit later on specific gaming TVs that you would recommend. But interesting that you mentioned this is at the top of the gaming TVs sort of sector. So obviously we're getting our HDMI 2.1s in here, I'm assuming, and everything we need for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Fantastic stuff. Well, there we go. If you're a gamer out there, maybe this is the one to check out for you. Like I say, links in the description if you do want to check them out. So heading back to Sony then, in our number 3 slot, the Sony A8H OLED. Oh my goodness, I can't do these names.
All these letters.
It's way too much, isn't it? It's way too much. But tell us a little bit about this one then. Is it the OLED here that's really setting this above the other TVs we've chatted about so far?
Yeah, the OLED panel definitely helps. Again, it costs a little bit more than the Sony TV we mentioned previously, but I really do think it's worth the uptick. What really excites me about the A8H OLED is that it takes a lot of what was so fantastic about the A9G OLED we saw in 2019, but just brings it to a more accessible price point. The A9G was one of our favorite OLEDs for quite a long time. It was just a bit too pricey to really recommend very hard. And the A8H is really Sony taking a step back and saying, like, okay, we can get most of what makes that television great here at a much more affordable price point. Sony is very good at very good motion. You've got great viewing angles on this set. And as an OLED, you've got really deep blacks, really popping color, great contrast. You won't get any HDR10 plus support if that's an HDR format that matters to you. But yeah, I really would recommend it as a good solid OLED set.
Fair enough, fair enough. Maybe this is a good opportunity for us to take a little sidebar here and very quickly, very top level, explain the difference between OLED and LED, because I think that's going to be coming up as we go through this list now. So very quickly, what are the top level benefits? Why would you go for an OLED and spend that extra money?
Well, it depends. I mean, some QLEDs definitely cost more than some LCDs or QLEDs. QLEDs being Samsung's own brand of LCD can cost a bit more than OLEDs, especially when they're packaged with a lot of other things. OLED tends to have a few advantages because its panels, they emit their own light. So rather than having a backlight push through it and running into a lot of issues like how much light you direct and where, and making sure you only put it on the screen where you're meant to, OLED's able to just light up or turn off each individual pixel. So you get a really great brightness control. The overall brightness maybe isn't as good as some LCDs if you're just looking to be sort of put in headlights by your television and get something really impactful. But for that kind of base, natural looking picture quality and great viewing angles, great deep blacks, that's something you really need to go to OLED for. You know, there's an LCD coming above this OLED. That's because it has so many other features aside from just the type of panel that really elevate it. So, you know, there are a lot of things you need to keep in mind other than just OLED or QLED is better than the other.
Yeah. The way it's always been explained to me, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, I'm by no means an expert, but like OLED is like the home cinema experience. If you're in a dark room and you really want those blacks to look black and you want that contrast perfect, OLED is the way to go. QLED is kind of your better all-rounder TV, right? Like if you don't have perfect viewing conditions always for your TV, then QLED's probably the way to go because you've got that extra brightness.
And you can get a good QLED or a decent QLED for under $1,000 as well. Whereas for OLED, that's your starting point.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So then I think that's great. Hopefully you guys found that useful at home. But let's move on then to our number 2 slot. And back to Samsung again, we're playing tag with these two. The Samsung Q950 TS QLED TV. Nailed it. Come on. Tell us a little bit about this one, Henry. Why does it deserve to be in the number 2 slot?
The Q950 TS is very expensive. That's not why it's in this slot, but the price makes it very clear how much Samsung has put into this television.
Yeah.
It's got 8K resolution, so dazzlingly sharp detail. If you're getting it at a decent size, it comes in very large sizes, 75-inch, 85-inch. So this is really a home centerpiece for just blasting your eyeballs, basically. And you don't get any of the brightness problems with OLED. Excellent contrast. We gave this television 5 stars. Gorgeous design as well. It's got effectively a zero bezel design. So it's 99% screen. You can barely see the edges. This is the set you want to go for if money is really no object.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the moment, as of recording this, we're in the UK, obviously, £3,499. I think that's double the most expensive TV we've chatted about so far. More than double, actually, the most expensive TV we've chatted about so far. But obviously, you're getting that 8K performance here. I'm curious, do you think... How far are we off 8K becoming mainstream? Because we're not there yet. You know, a lot of people are still yet to upgrade to 4K. So is this really the sort of TV you should be looking, I guess, to future-proof yourself, right? Beyond that 8K barrier.
It's difficult because when it comes to future proofing, if you want a really good 8K TV in 2 years' time, they're probably going to be a bit better in 2 years' time. But what's happening at the moment is quite a few TV brands, Samsung especially, which is really pushing 8K televisions, is really coupling 8K with their best processors, their most aesthetic casing designs, the best audio. Samsung's 8K QLEDs use... It's OTS plus audio system, which has drivers all around the set. You get great verticality and horizontality, if that's a word. If you want the best of the best at the moment, it's often going to come with 8K, whether you want it or not.
Sure.
Is sort of my take on it.
Interesting stuff. Well, then let's move on to our number 1 pick, which is the first LG set we've had in the top 5, the LG C10 Series OLED TVs. C10 or CX? I've always said C10.
I would say CX, but God knows. We had this whole thing with the iPhone X, iPhone 10. It's a lot. It's a
lot. But this is the number 1 slot. Why did LG take the top spot for you then, Henry?
The LG CX or C10 is that really perfect price to performance ratio television. It is about $1,200, $1,300 or pounds.
Yeah.
A fraction of the price of the Samsung set we just discussed.
Sure.
But it's a really exceptional picture. LG really know how to work an OLED panel and really get it to pop. There are a few, some of the sort of side considerations aren't as impressive as maybe some of the other sets in this list. The bass in the audio is a bit heavy. You're getting about 40 watts. It's not quite the system you get on the Samsung Q950 TS, but it's most people are going to be buying a television for the picture quality, and this is a set that just gets it so right.
Yeah,
and it comes in it was the first OLED television, I think, to come in a 48 OLED TV size as well. So if you're looking for really top-notch OLED TV, but just the 55-inch just doesn't fit where it's meant to, you've got a bit more flexibility there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've hit the nail on the head, right? This is sort of the OLED TV that is the workhorse. There are so many options to it. You know, we've got 4 size options here. Prices are reasonable within those options. And I have to be totally honest and transparent. This is my TV. I own this TV. Got it in my living room not too long ago. And I was so nervous about this when I ordered it. It's the most expensive thing I've ever bought tech-wise for sure. And I thought, will it be worth it? Will it be worth it? And you know what? It absolutely is. Like, if you're in the market for an OLED TV, I don't think there's any way you can be disappointed with this purchase. You know, I absolutely love it. Anecdotal evidence from me. Please do go check full reviews and obviously do your due diligence. But I have no regrets about my Series 10 TV, Series X TV. Who knows? Doesn't matter now. It's out of the box.
We should do a whole video on the X10 issue. It's
bring in some iPhone people as well.
The issue of our times.
I like it a lot. And you know, one thing as well to mention, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have a massive experience with the other TVs in this list, but the LG operating system I thought would be a massive pain in the ass when I saw it. It's a kind of reminds you of the old school Nintendo Wii system with the sort of controller pointing at the TV. But I absolutely love it. Like, it works really well, and I use that system a lot more than I thought I would. And so yeah, user friendliness I give a thumbs up to as well. But yes, like you say, there are many, many more in the full list on techradar.com. So head to that first link in the description. If we didn't mention a TV that suits your needs, then head there and find one that does. Thanks for joining me, Henry. Before we close out, let's quickly touch on sort of 2021 in TVs. Obviously, we're very early on in 2021 as we're recording this. Are we likely to see more sets coming out in the near future that are making these maybe not obsolete, but certainly coming out above these sets?
I mean, pretty much all of these sets are getting successors.
Right.
I definitely think it's worthwhile looking at these sets from 2020, though, if just because their prices have all dropped significantly since they launched, especially the CX, which have been discounted very regularly over the last few months. And you know, each of these sets are going to get iterative improvements. Samsung is bringing out its Neo QLED range with much more advanced mini LED backlights. The LG CX C10 is getting an LG C1, sort of going back to the start there.
Why do they do it to us? Why do they do it to us?
Small iterative improvements. I actually don't think the C1 is going to be the best LG TV this year, though. The Gallery OLED has a few panel improvements that should really up the brightness, which is always a bit of a sticking point for people not entirely sold by OLED. Samsung's coming back with a lot more 8K TVs, and I think that 8K offering is only going to get better every year. Samsung sort of improves the processing and really figures out how to make that the best that it can be.
Well, brilliant stuff. Well, like we say, like I keep saying, head to that first link in the description to see Henry's full list. By the time you're watching this, maybe it's been updated with a couple of those sets, so worth checking out. And of course, we'll be reviewing all of these sets that we can get our hands on. Henry, I know you'll be reviewing a few for us as well. So make sure, so many TVs. So make sure you head to techradar.com for the latest tech news and reviews. If you enjoyed the video, found it valuable at all, please do drop a like. Consider subscribing to Tech Radar on YouTube so you don't miss any of our future TV reviews. And finally, like I've already said, head to techradar.com for the latest tech news and reviews. We will see you on the next video. Bye-bye.